People, good afternoon. It is Friday, January 5th, and I am here with your geopolitical news. Al Jazeera reports Hezbollah chief warns Lebanon could be exposed to more Israeli attacks. Nasrallah again pledges retaliation for killing of Hamas deputy chief Al Arori, says Hezbollah cannot be silent. The head of Lebanese armed group Hezbollah has said that all of Lebanon will be exposed if the group does not react to the assassination of Hamas deputy chief Salah al-Rouri in Beirut this week. Speaking in a televised address for the second time in less than a week, Hassan Nasrallah reaffirmed that Hezbollah cannot be silent about a violation of this level. So what do I think about this? Well, I think the same thing that I always thought. You know, and this situation right here is not even about the two bombings that just happened simultaneously at the funeral in Iran. No, this is another situation of a Hamas leader that was assassinated. You understand? And so, what do I really feel about this situation? Well, as an American citizen, you know, we've been fed information from Western news media outlets. And traditionally, we have found that the Western news media outlets are liars on so many different occasions, depending on what political party is sponsoring said news media outlet. Well, you can almost guarantee that you're going to be fed what's called or what's been the new term as fake news. And so many of us who are content creators that have come to the internet to give our opinion about what we feel, because you will have so many politicians that will get on the stage and a platform in front of the media, in front of millions and millions of people that will be broadcast to, and they will say that the American people feel this way or the American people feel that way. And, you know, many of us sit in the comfortability of our homes and we're probably scratching our heads. Like, how is it possible that you're able to say exactly how I feel when you have not asked me? No, you have not given me an opportunity to say how I feel. So how is it that you think you can speak to the general public about how I feel? And so this is a question. You know, we are in an election year. And so the politicians are strategically, they are doing it now, and they will continue to do it up until the time of the election. But they will strategically, you know, walk back what we all know that they're participants in death and destruction. And so you and I have to receive this information. We have to dissect this information. And then we have to draw our own conclusions. Because historically, the United States of America and its Western allies have chosen to go away as to downgrade information to the American people, regardless of the cost, regardless of the injustice. And so, what do you think will happen with the American people when we find out the truths to these situations? Will it be civil unrest? Will you have a greater problem on your hands in your own backyard than the problems that you're dealing with on the world stage? It brings me back to the question that I've asked you guys in previous videos. Will there ever be peace? You know, I watch videos of what's going on in the Gaza Strip. Not just, you know, the women and children and elderly that are dying, that are already dead, but the people that continue to stay there, knowing very well that they can possibly be killed any second. And so, you know, they have these numbers. They love to use these numbers when they talk to us. Real numbers, fake numbers, downplaying numbers, fixing numbers. They like to play with our intellect. So you'll say a number like 20,000 Palestinians are dead, mostly civilians. But what you won't say is that underneath the destruction, underneath the rubble, in which no machinery has been brought in to remove, the death toll is unknown. How many people lie beneath that rubble is unknown. So your 20,000 dead Palestinians is inaccurate. It is far more. The destruction is far greater. In other geopolitical news, Al Jazeera reports Russia used North Korean missiles in Ukraine, U.S. says. The United States also expressed concerns that Russia is seeking close-range ballistic missiles from Iran. White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said on Thursday that recently declassified intelligence found that North Korea had provided Moscow with the weapons, at least one of which was fired into Ukraine on December 30th, landing in an open field in the Zap region. Well, it's like I said to y'all before, people. United States is finding itself and its Western allies painting itself into a corner. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, it's like I keep telling y'all, the world is so much bigger than just the United States of America. If you've never been outside of it, if you've never traveled, if you never visited anywhere, then you don't know or you can't imagine just how vast the world is. But there's so many people, there's so many countries that are against the United States of America and its policies. Policies that they force upon countries and nations. And so the United States and its Western allies have created not just enemies, you understand? Not just enemies, but they have created, they have painted themselves in a corner and they have created something for themselves that even someone that is not an enemy of theirs does not trust the United States of America because of their relationships and because of their history, because of how they deal with their relationships. And so what Russia is doing, can you blame them? What any of these countries are doing when one of the biggest countries in the world imposes sanctions upon them. And so in a free marketplace, on a world stage, if you impose sanctions upon said country, then all of your allies will not do business with said country. And so it's like, are my people supposed to starve? Are my people supposed to not flourish because of the views and the disagreements of politicians? And this is what's happening all around the world. It is people in positions of power that are dictating and controlling the narrative. And you and I, who are average citizens, we very well don't get a say. And so, time and time again, this is what we receive, this is what we get for being a citizen, for being a tax-paying citizen, for being someone who would take time out of their schedule to be informed about these politicians. And maybe you might pick one and go out to the polls on election day and vote for one in hopes of what? What is it that you receive when you go out and you vote for these politicians? Because as I said, if you took a vote in the United States of America right now, it is absolutely guaranteed that none of us want to continue to see what's happening in Palestine, in the Gaza Strip right now. None of us want to continue to see it. What's going on between Russia and Ukraine is being overshadowed by what's going on in the Middle East. And so we have no idea what's going on in Russia and Ukraine right now. You know, they keep asking for military aid for Ukraine, military aid for Israel. And a part of that is very confusing to me, because what military aid does Israel need to cause so much death and destruction? What more do you need? What more do you need? But you will continue to receive more and continue to ask for more because you are petrified. Yes, you are petrified. The same thing with Vladimir Zelensky, is the same thing with Benjamin Netanyahu. It's only one difference when you look at the two, but they're both in the same situation. They're both in situations that they absolutely know that they can't win. Ukraine's situation is more direct. Israel's situation is in time. Because the fact of the matter is that you will never be able to kill Hamas. You will never be able to kill Hezbollah. You will never be able to kill the Houthi rebels. So now the United States wants to claim that ISIS is responsible for the bombings at the funeral in Iran. ISIS supposedly, allegedly, a terrorist regime that you crushed, that you ended. But this is the Street Icon podcast. This is the conspiracy theory series. And so what I believe is that ISIS was actually a coalition. In my humble opinion, ISIS is actually a coalition of not only US soldiers, but soldiers that are connected and a part of the Western Alliance. And so I believe that this is a coalition of individuals that was put together to go wreak havoc in different regions, commit terrorist acts in different regions, all so the United States of America can use the military industrial complex and come and play big brother. It's a genius, diabolical, disgusting, despicable scheme, plot, and ploy. And this is what I believe. So I don't believe that they are terrorists that the United States has been fighting. No, I believe that these terrorists are created by the United States themselves. I mean, the worst of those terrorists are the United States themselves. Soldiers from the United States, soldiers from the United States allies. This is what I believe. And so, as it relates to Russia, I feel how I've always felt. They're not wrong in protecting their sovereignty. They're not wrong for protecting their homeland. I don't believe that the United States gets to dictate who, when, what, where, or how. The world is too big for that. We all should get a say. So now I switched over to the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. Democracy Now! Posts. Israel holds talks with African nations as officials push voluntary migration from Gaza. So now what does this mean? So now, I was just talking to a friend of mine and I was just saying, like, the Western media outlets have painted the narrative like the nations in the Middle East have denied the Palestinians access because they're such a evil people, because they're such a dirty people, because they're such a rotten people. They're terrorists. They're gonna disrupt their land. This is what the Western media outlets will have you believe. Well, I denounce that. I believe something different. I believe that the nations in the Middle East have rejected this idea because they want the people of Palestine to keep their land. They don't want Israel to win and take over and fully occupy their land. And so what the Israeli cowards have decided to do is to go to African nations and to offer astronomical amounts of money for any African nation to accept the Palestine refugees so that Israel can save face, so they can be made to look like they're doing something of a humanitarian nature. And so we are not fooled. The American people are not fooled. South Africa has brought charges of genocide against Israel. And so you would go to these very same African nations, well, not the same ones, but other African nations that are aligned with the United States of America and its Western allies. You would go to these African nations, and as I said, you would offer them astronomical amounts of wealth to just accept these people. Peoples, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube page, subscribe to the YouTube page, like, subscribe, share all content. The YouTube page is Street Icon TV, at Street Icon 8080, at Street Icon 8080. You can also go to the X platform formerly known as Twitter, and you can go to Street Icon 1. That's at Street Icon 1. And you can find the links to all this content that I cover every day as it relates to geopolitical news and current events. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about this. Did you know about these stories? Drop a comment in the comment section, and always remember, stay vigilant, stay safe. Peace.